Hey crew, I've got the key to this 25 Polaris Slingshot 10th anniversary, and today we're gonna see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. I've got the Polaris actually hovering over the edge a little bit, sitting next to a new Honda Odyssey that my wife is reviewing. If you want to check out her content, it's at Mobile Mama on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. She's got that one pretty close to the edge at a bit of an angle, and that leaves loads of space between to walk through, wheel a double stroller, or wagon through for our kiddos, no problem. The Slingshot is just back of the gutter at the front of my driveway, and it is fairly low with a jutting front splitter, so you need things like curb ramps that I have here to help with clearance issues. At the back, there is so much room to walk in front of the hedge on the path to my front door. Now, apart from the visual distinction of only one rear wheel, we're starting to get into some differences of having a Slingshot versus a normal enclosed four-wheeled vehicle. For one, the key fob, yes, it has unlock and lock, but this is really just an immobilizer. There are no doors to lock or unlock. You just step inside. The problem right now is that though it didn't actually rain last night, the dew was accumulated, and so the cabin is very wet. The steering wheel's got water all over it. There was actually a spider that tried to build a web into the cabin, so before I can actually get inside, I need to towel it off. Okay, I think that'll do for me. If I had a passenger, I'd have to work harder because theirs is still wet. Actually, the whole floor has sitting water in it, but I'm not worried about that because the interior is completely waterproof. I really just didn't want to get my butt wet. Getting inside, work the right leg in under the steering wheel, scooch down, left leg come to join. Okay, not bad. And of course, without a door, I don't have to worry about how far away I am from a vehicle next to me. As long as I can get my body in, I can get into the Slingshot. Now to start it up. Foot on the brake. That is a loud chime. Starts up. There's a rumble from the four-cylinder. And though I can really hear how loud it is at idle from the driver's seat, I'll step out for a moment. To point out that it's actually more loud by the engine, not typically where it is with exhausts of vehicles at the back, but it is altogether loud. So if you're starting your day early or ending it late, you might upset the neighborhood. All right, before I go anywhere, well, a couple things, but first, let me show you where I would stick the items I bring with me every day, like my iPhone 15 Pro that can sit on this grippy pad, and that will keep the phone secure while driving, but it's not a wireless charging pad. Inside this mini console, I do have room for a granola bar, my slimline wallet, and sunglasses. It isn't fabric lined, so I could scratch the lenses in here, unfortunately. Got to be careful of how I position those. And then there isn't obviously a door pocket to put my 32-ounce water bottle. There is a cubby here, but that could fly forward. It's dangerous. So I've got that and my GoPro accessory case in the very large glove box. And now the next thing I have to do before I go anywhere, put on a full face helmet. Yes, this is an auto cycle, so classification wise, depending on your state, you do have to wear a full helmet. And it reminds you of that with this sticker right here. So stand by. All right, I'm officially rigged up, and now to put on my seatbelt, which I get from the interior, not the exterior like most cars. That's secured. Into drive. Mechanical handbrake is down, and I am rolling forward. Left tire on the curb ramp, right tire dips into the gutter. And I'm gonna clear my neighbor's basketball hoops. Success! Okay, so the first knock against the Slingshot as a daily driver is of course that you are exposed to the elements. So if it's cold or if it's extremely hot, there's nothing to keep that from affecting you. Well, except for one thing. There are actually heated and ventilated seats. You control that with these press buttons down here on the actual seat. And it works decently well. I mean, as well as you would expect. Again, all of this affects you more than a little bit of seat heating or ventilation, but it is cool that you can have those features. And the seats themselves are actually really comfortable. It's this weatherproof material, I think it's leatherette, but man, it feels good. Now on to the driving experience. Here around town, well, yes, the 4-cylinder is always loud, but it's not as loud as it does get when you're at a higher rate of speed or going full throttle. The vehicle makes 204 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. It's plenty to move something that weighs less than 1,700 pounds. And the 4-cylinder is connected to a 5-speed single clutch automatic. You can get a 5-speed manual. I've actually experienced the last gen Slingshot with the manual, and I kind of liked it. But the 5-speed single clutch automatic, if you haven't driven a single clutch, is very clunky. You feel each shift. It rocks you forward and backward with the exchange. But if you look at this vehicle and go, that's refinement right there, then you're missing the point. So you kind of deal with the single clutch and you just roll with the punches. And the pickup of the throttle response is just fine. You don't have the delay of boost building with forced induction. It's pretty linear in the power delivery. One thing has to be said immediately about the Slingshot, and it seems pretty obvious, but until you're actually in the seat, it doesn't become real. And that is that if you're self-conscious at all, this is not the vehicle for you. Everyone is going to be looking at you, more so even than if I was driving a supercar. It just draws the eye. It's a weird shape. The one thing though that is working in your favor if you are self-conscious is that the full face helmet, that's another vehicle that people look at all the time. It's the ID Buzz. If you are self-conscious, the full face helmet does kind of hide you from the outside world. Moving on to some other daily driving details. So, modulating the brakes. It's not the easiest thing to do. I don't get a lot of feel from that pedal, and I have to dig fairly far into it before strong braking actually takes hold. And it's not the hardware. Brembo 4 pistons up front, those are strong brakes. It's really just how they've tuned that pedal. Another important detail. The ride is bouncy. You are going to be jostled on imperfections in the road or changes in that road surface. But the fact that this seat is as cushioned as it is, that doesn't bother me quite as much. And also they retuned the suspension for this 10th anniversary. You are dampened from the harshness of those blemishes to a considerable degree. Now let's listen to the turn signal sound, which I know the indicator is on because I felt it go down on the stock, but even sitting still, I can't hear the signal at all. And from this vantage point, I can't even see the blinking light. I gotta go really low to actually see it above the digital TFT. Guess that just comes with the territory of a helmet. All right, for the turning radius, pulling out just a little bit, then turning the wheel hard. Ooh, and barely making that turn. That is not a good turning circle. And you'd think it would be with a vehicle this small, but I think the width up front definitely doesn't help. But Miles, you're thinking, you don't buy a Slingshot to worry about the turning radius or the turn signal sound or even what the horn sounds like. I just want to make that noise because it sounds goofy. Hey, how you doing? No one is going to be upset with you if you're honking at them when it sounds like that. Anyway, but you don't buy the Slingshot to be worried about the details, the mundane. You buy it for fun. So is the Slingshot fun just to bop around town? And the answer, whoa, is yes. Boy, it got a little squirrely there with the single tire putting the power down. But traction control is on. You can't switch it off there. I wouldn't. It's fun. It is very entertaining. You are exposed to the elements, and while that may make you hot or cold, as I mentioned, it does invite you into an experience that is very outside the norm for a fully enclosed 4-wheeled vehicle. It's gruff. It has its rough edges, but when you adapt to them, to the way you have to drive the Slingshot compared to a normal car, you really start to enjoy it. Another benefit that comes from being exposed like this is visibility. I can see so clear out over the front, even with the windshield that comes up halfway. Turning my head left or right, there's no obstruction at all. There is one with the speaker and the high cowl for over the shoulder looking, and there isn't blind spot monitoring or anything like that, and without a direct rear view, I am having to use those side mirrors and twist my body, turn my head, look with my own eyes extensively. But those hands are starting to get a little cold without steering wheel heating. I really wish that was a feature equipped to the Slingshot. Just some vents right here, and obviously an HVAC system to blow warm air on my hands. Oh, I can think of something else that'll warm them up. Coffee from Cafe Inn Roasters. And now it is time to park. And of course, I'm gonna try to back in. So let me pull over here, then hit the reverse gear. That does bring up a backup camera, and the resolution is not that bad. No trajectory lines though, just fixed grids. But I can back into the spot, no trouble at all. And engage the brake, hit neutral, and there is no park. We just turned it off. Here's my moment. Madagascar vanilla latte that looks beautiful, tastes delightful, and is warming my hands perfectly. Oh, and also jalapeno cream cheese croissant. Oh my gosh. That was great. This Model Y performance owner parked, got out of the car, and then said, you know, this looks like if Lamborghini made a trike. And I think that's very well put. It's aggressive like a Lamborghini. It has 3 wheels. And now I want the opinion of someone else. I think I'm gonna go pick up Mobile Mama and we can get some lunch. Oh, cup holder. Welcome, Mobile Mama.
Hi.
To the Polaris Slingshot.
I'm gonna have to speak in sign language.
I know, really, I barely can hear what you're saying. You know what? You would have to, just like on a motorcycle, you'd have to get the radio communication.
Whatever he's saying, yeah.
Yeah, she agrees. This is great for our marriage. Whatever he's saying, I like that. Yeah, it's great. That's positive. Yeah.
So you're buying me
and I can't hear what she's saying. Yes.
New running shoes?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Oh no, darn it.
It's on camera.
It goes both ways, I guess. All right. Welcome to the Slingshot.
Thank you.
What are your first impressions?
Loud, but fun.
But fun.
Yes.
Okay, I have to ask you, because I know you're a little anxious. I got hit by a drunk driver on a motorcycle 5 years ago, and I was absolutely wrecked. It took me a year and a half to recover. A lot of trauma that went with that for me and for Christina. Do you feel safe in this?
I feel safer in this for sure.
You feel safer, okay. Because she did ride on the back of the motorcycle at least a few times. What makes you feel safer? Is it just the fact that we're sitting?
Yeah, you have some metal protecting you.
Yes, crash structure, that is good.
You have some protection in the back.
Yeah,
in case
rollover
you get
protection.
rear-ended.
I mean, I'll even say this for her. I definitely don't feel as safe as, you know, being in a fully enclosed car, but it does certainly feel safer than a motorcycle. And I mean, I felt like I had great control when I was on 2 wheels, but having a steering wheel and 2 planted tires in the front at least does give me the feeling of stability, and hopefully you as the passenger, more confidence in us driving around. That's good. So what do you think of the interior of the Polestar? You know, we're not in the Spartan 2-wheeled setup. We've got amenities.
Yeah, you have this screen here. Yep. What does it tell me?
I can change it up. It's got nav. It's got...
Does it have Apple CarPlay?
Yeah.
Stop.
It's got CarPlay.
Awesome.
And there's a USB right here.
Okay.
You can hook up to that.
That's great.
That's pretty cool. It's a touchscreen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, and then I've got all my info on my gauge cluster. You know your seat is heated and cooled?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's turn on the heating.
Pardon my reach here.
Oh.
You hit this button on the left or right, and that gives you heating or cooling.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and the seats themselves, they're comfortable, huh?
Yes, they're really comfortable, actually.
I know, I was shocked at how cushy they were.
You may not remember, but you've driven me in a Slingshot before when we were dating. Do you remember where we went?
You know, I was hit by a drunk driver. We just clarified that. But yeah,
That's not an excuse for our dating life.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
yeah, I don't remember that actually. Did you like it then?
We drove all the way to San Diego.
Oh, okay. So it was like one of those that had partial coverage. It actually had a windshield and a roof, but still had no doors. Now I remember that.
That's when I had no worries, no cares. I was like, yeah. Something you do want to think about as a woman is just If you don't want to get ready, you don't have to, because your hair is going to be messed up anyway. So just...
Right. I guess as a guy with short hair, I don't really care, but that's a consideration. Okay.
But it's kind of like a convertible. You're going to have to fix your hair anyways.
Very true. Not all that different. Now, typically, when you're in these videos, we're like installing car seats and things like that. And obviously we can't do that. It's not safe. Even though they couldn't ride along with us, the girls absolutely went nuts for this thing.
Yeah.
When they showed up with it, they pulled it off a trailer, and they showed up, like, they were like, oh my gosh, like they could not believe their eyes.
Like,
and so,
I want to sit in it.
yes, that is one really cool thing. Even if they can't experience it with you, your kids, they're gonna be enthusiastic about the Slingshot. And I am quite enthusiastic about lunch. I know you are as well, right? Because we've been here. What's it called?
Not to Tropicana. We're not going there, everyone.
Not going to Tropicana. We are going to Lunch Bang. And it actually isn't labeled at all, but this is the best smash burger in OC.
Yes.
Are you ready?
You chose correctly.
I chose wisely. Okay, here's the smash burger.
Wow.
Double smash. Look at the onions and the sauce and pickles. I just almost choked really quick. Hallelujah. That is so good. Even the fries are amazing. I kind of don't want people to know about this place, but this is genuinely the best smash burger I've ever had in my life. I am so full.
You got the double.
I did get the double.
Was enough.
No regrets. I would take that deliciousness to feel this way any day. You know, I was thinking of something.
What?
So we've got my smartphone right here, and this vehicle, just by its design, will cut down on driver distraction. One, you have to be locked in when you're driving it, but two, even if you're sitting at a stoplight, you're not tempted to pull out your phone because, well, you're exposed. An officer could just be like, oh, you're done. Ticket for you. So there you go. I just thought of something. That's what I thought of. Now for perhaps the biggest challenge to Slingshot ownership, practicality. So let's try a trip to Costco. Now, while I'm in Costco, I will want to make sure that everything I'm not bringing with me is secure inside the Slingshot. So I put all my camera gear inside the glove box, which I can now lock. And as for the helmet, after I angle the seat back forward, I find this huge compartment that easily accommodates that and is also lockable. We're good to go. Well, it wasn't a huge Costco trip, but that doesn't mean fitting all this inside the Slingshot is gonna be easy. And yeah, I'm gonna hold the GoPro for this because I forgot my hat cam. Anyway, I'm gonna start by taking out the helmet from its hole because I want to use this area and the one on the passenger side. And because these two cavities are gonna be shielded from all that hot sun, I'm gonna put the perishables in here. And just one cubby swallowed up all of them. In the other one, I've got chips, dried pineapple, and almond milk. That just leaves all the big bulky stuff. And if I had a passenger, I'd really have a problem. But I don't, so I'm gonna use that space. In the footwell, I got the spindrift and plates. In the seat, I have the diapers, and the paper towels are just gonna stick right on top of all that. But of course, while I'm driving, there is the danger that these could go flying out. We don't want that. So my idea is to use the seat belt. Can I get this to go around all these things, including the paper towels, and fit in the buckle? Yes! It works. This is safe. And after returning my cart, like a responsible member of society, I can confirm that, though shocking, the Polaris Slingshot is Costco approved. But good heavens, these seats are hot. Would you believe it? I wouldn't either if I hadn't seen it. Now let's move from practicality to performance. I'm gonna start with a real world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here to record. I'm leaving traction control on because, well, there's one wheel drive. Traction might be limited. I'm also gonna roll onto the power. I'm not going to brake torque it. So here we go. Still spinning. Finally, we've got traction. And there is 60 in 6.87 seconds. Well, we got there, but it definitely felt like one-wheel drive to survive. Thankfully, if you already have momentum, the, let's call it concern for driving the Slingshot quickly is more of an illusion, because though the back end can certainly get loose under things like hard braking or mid-quarter acceleration, there's so much grip at the front end that it never lets things get too far out of hand. And because the Slingshot only weighs 1,600 pounds, as long as you commit to the brake pedal, which is what's required to get the full stopping power out of the Brembos, then you will fully slow before each corner. Honestly, the Slingshot is pretty fun to drive, but while the 5-speed single clutch automatic isn't the sharpest transmission, not always giving me the gear I want when I want it, there is always manual mode. And though that does allow me to stay in the gear I want, it doesn't really change the speed at which the gears change. You pull the paddle and you have to wait a half a sec before the transition takes hold. The other problem is that the position of the gauge cluster housing cuts off, I already mentioned, the turn signals. It also cuts off the top of the tach. So, according to my eyes, red line is 7,000 RPM, but really, it's 8250. So it's just hope and guesswork whenever I go above that cover. Am I laughing out of fear or entertainment? Yes! And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, what if you were crazy enough to commute in the Slingshot? What would that look like? Let's start with the passing power. So I've joined the highway here, but if I spot a gap and I want to change lanes, foot to the floor, no tire spin this time, thankfully, and there is a good grunt to get me to the spot I want to be in. And when I am there, I'm going to quiet up and we're going to listen to the cabin volume, to the air volume at these speeds. Yeah, go figure. It's an open cabin. There is a lot of wind buffeting, pelting against the helmet, pelting against the body panels and the little windscreen, and you do still hear that 4-cylinder just churning away. This is not quiet. This is not calming. This is not zen. But you know what? There is a Rockford Fosgate sound system, which I would love to listen to now via the touchscreen. And I would like to show you Apple CarPlay, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get my phone to pair up to the Slingshot. So this is just via plugged in. And I'm gonna play that music and use the volume buttons to increase. Oh wow, I just now am starting to hear it. Whoa. It startled me because the bass just thumped hard against my leg. That's max volume at 11. Alright, so you know what? Two things. I actually kind of enjoyed that because the thumping against my leg is pretty fun. But also, I did hear the music, and given that it's fighting against all this other noise, that's pretty impressive. I'm not going to say the fidelity is crystal clear, but you can actually hear it. That's a win. Now it's time to put some fuel back in this 9.8 gallon tank, and I actually don't even know if the Slingshot is EPA rated. I did some research on independent tests, and they saw 20 mpg in the city, 28 on the highway, and 23 combined. If I saw 23 combined, I'd have a fuel range of 225 miles. But during my time with the car, I've averaged 18.8 miles per gallon. And at current fuel prices of $5.15 for 91 octane gas that is required, it's gonna cost about 50 bucks to fill this tank. And go figure, there isn't capless fueling, so I have to work just a little bit harder. Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered if you could actually live with a three-wheeler. And after quality time spent behind the wheel, I have concluded that while certainly not for everyone, or even for every climate, you can check a surprising number of boxes with the Polaris Slingshot. With impressive cargo space for its size, an efficient powertrain, and comfortable seats, you can use the Slingshot in more ways than one might expect. There are obvious drawbacks to a fully exposed cabin, like needing to wear a helmet to get anywhere. That's tedious. It's obviously not as safe as a car, and very little about this auto cycle could be considered refined. And if you're self-conscious, this is not the vehicle for you. It's not how I'd spend my 40 grand, but I can genuinely say I've enjoyed my time with the Slingshot, and I've got a newfound respect for the people who do buy them. I hope you guys have enjoyed this day in the life, and I will see you again next time.